The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everybody. I am Yasha Franklin Hodge, the chair of the Public Improvement Commission, and I call to order the PIC hearing of December 5th, 2024. Mr. Liming, would you please take the roll call?
Certainly. Would the representative from the Public Works Department please state their name for the record?
Yasha Franklin Hodge.
Property Management Department, please do the same.
Joseph Callahan.
Transportation Department.
Amy Gordon.
Water and Sewer Commission.
Denise Devlin.
Commission for Persons with Disabilities. Sarah, I saw you on here somewhere.
My mic working?
Oh, there we go.
Okay, Sarah Young.
Thank you. I don't see anyone from ISD. Nope, but we do have a quorum.
All right, excellent. Thank you very much. On to our first agenda item, the hearing minutes. At the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on November 21st, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of November 21st, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? So moved. We have no public hearings today, so we'll go straight to new business, starting with new business number 1, 1520 Dorchester Avenue, Park Street, Dorchester. Specific repairs, vertical discontinuances on a set of petitions by the City of Boston Public Facilities Department. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and give us a walkthrough of what you are proposing to do.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Susan Phillips, and I'm the project manager with PFD, and I'll be managing the design and the construction of the Fields Corner Library located at 1520 Dorchester Avenue, Dorchester, Mass. Please note at this time we are in process of finalizing the agreement, and I'd like to take this time to go ahead and give you a quick project overview, if that's okay. The project will consist of replacing the existing single-story building, which was built in the 1960 era and currently has 8,600 square feet, of which will be demolished. The new Fields Corner Branch Library will be built as a replacement library for the existing building. The new library is programmed for approximately 14,700 gross square feet and will be built as a two-story building. The concept for the new library was conceived in collaboration with the Public Facilities Department, the Boston Public Library, and with the community input through a total of 6 public community engagement meetings, 3 of which were held during the study phase and the following 3 during the design phase. At this time, I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'll now turn it over to Ryan Gordon of Niche to present the project's improvements.
Hey, good morning. One second. Good morning to the commission. My name is Ryan Gordon, project manager with Niche Engineering. I was having some issues with my camera. I will present to you the vertical discontinuances and the specific repairs that we are seeking approval for. Just to give you an overview, I have an image of the existing building here and the proposed, a rendering of the proposed building. We are in the Dorchester neighborhood, Fields Corner. Dorchester Avenue is running north to south, and we have Park Street running east to west. And here are some images of the existing public sidewalk. First, I'll go into the vertical discontinuances, and these are related to building overhangs and cornices. The first area is on Dorchester Avenue, and I have side by side the area that we are looking for the vertical discontinuance of, as well as a profile view. This is for an area on Dorchester Avenue where the building will overhang for most of the street, extending just 2 inches over the property line. But then as you round the corner, there's some building elements that extend out over the property line. So there's a total area of 116 square feet and volume of 696 cubic feet. And then rounding to the other side of Park Street, there's 3 specific areas where we are looking for vertical discontinuance of. We have plan view and section views of each area. And these are all related to building cornices. So the first area is an extension of that overhang that's coming around from Dorchester Avenue. Total area of 5 square feet, volume 20 cubic feet. The second is an area that continues along Park Street. It's 2 separate cornices at 2 different levels of the building for the 2 stories. There's an area of 13 square feet and volume of 255 cubic feet. And a third separate area over here, area C, that's an area of 7 feet and volume of 11 cubic feet. Getting into the specific repairs, what we're proposing here, new concrete sidewalks with a permeable paver strip along the sidewalk on Dorchester Avenue. We are relocating a couple of existing City of Boston streetlights, providing new pole boxes and conduit. We have 3 street trees. They actually will be located under the building overhang, and only one of them extends into the public way, but we're including all of the information here as we have tree grades and silver cells systems under the sidewalk. We'll have irrigation and under drains, and facilities is taking on responsibility for the maintenance of the trees. We have a couple of parking signs that we're relocating, and we're also extending the bump out at the corner. There's an existing bump out there, and extending that out to narrow this intersection on Park Street and provide separate accessible pedestrian ramps. With that, we're replacing crosswalks. And as we get into Dorchester Avenue, Park Street, we have a continuation of the concrete sidewalk, minimum 5.6 width with 2.1 but with permeable paver strip. We have new City of Boston streetlights with pole boxes. We'll have a parallel shadow conduit with pole boxes. We're removing and resetting the existing curb. We have a new catch basin drop inlet and a new drain main that has been approved by Boston Water and Sewer Commission. And as we head down the street, we have an opening for the parking lot, and we worked with BTD and the Disabilities Commission to narrow the width of that opening for the driveway curb cut. And then we have a couple of sheets of our details. And I didn't mention this, we have a couple of bike racks proposed in the new bump out area. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, questions? All right, hearing none from other commissioners, I have 2 just quick questions. So and apologies if you said this and I missed it, but what is the drainage situation related to the overhang? And is there a sort of mechanism in place to ensure that it's not dripping water onto the sidewalk or ice or whatnot?
The overhang, it's, and Chris Genter from Edenzello, the architect, is also here, so please chime in if I'm missing anything, Chris, but it's essentially part of the building roof, so it'll drain.
Yeah, That's exactly right, Ryan. It's part of the roof of the building roof drainage system. So there's interior roof drains. So it's sloping, it's draining away from the street. Nothing's dripping onto the street.
Got it, okay. And the second question was just, I was sort of intrigued to see trees being planted under the overhang. What's the sort of, can you say a little bit more about that, and interested in just how you're doing that, how those are going to be maintained, all of that?
Yeah, well, the overhang here is, it's tall. Let's see, we're, 47 feet. Or, sorry, 25 feet above the sidewalk here. So I know that the landscape architect has, looked at this for the tree species that'll be successful here. And, they're willing to take on any maintenance, should there be any issues with this under the overhang here.
And will the trees themselves be covered under the LMI, or are those anticipated to be maintained by Boston Parks as most other street trees are?
The trees will be part of the LMI.
Okay, got it, okay. Excellent. I have no other questions. PNC staff or members of the public?
I will take this opportunity to remind everyone, if you wish to add testimony or ask questions, please use the raised hand function at the bottom of your screen. I don't see anybody lined up right now. I don't have any comments either, so I think we're all set on this for now.
Excellent. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on December 19th?
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you back here then.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next agenda item, new business number 2, 9 McKay Place, Maverick Street, East Boston, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, and a set of petitions by 9 McKay Place LLC. Petitioners, please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through what you are proposing to do.
I don't think my video is working. Good afternoon, good morning. Michael Malinowski from Allen Major Associates. We are the civil engineers and landscape architects for the project. I'm going to share my screen here. Everybody can see that?
Yep, we can see.
All right, so our project is located on the corner of McKay Place and Maverick Street, just in front of the McKay School, which is right here. The existing project consists of 4 residential lots, consisting of several multi-family buildings. All of the buildings will be raised, and a new building will be constructed in its place, consisting of 41 units with 26 parking spaces. As you can see, we've got garage parking on the first floor, which will access McKay, an amenity space, and then the upper levels will be residential dwellings. Get into the public improvements. The proposed improvements that we have for the project, we do have some off-site features. We do have sort of a pocket park that we've gone through permitting with the BPDA, so we will have that. That is not included in our LMI. That work will consist of new sidewalks along McKay Place and Maverick Street, including new crosswalks and corresponding ADA ramps along Maverick here and here. We also have a bump out that is being proposed to accommodate a new bus shelter in this location. Our sidewalks will be a minimum of 6.5 feet, along with a permeable paver scenario that is 3 feet, so we've got a total of 9.5 feet as a minimum condition in the space. We also have outdoor bike parking that is located here along Maverick Street. We also have several locations along McKay Place as well. As part of the discussions with Boston Light, we do have some light poles and conduits with pull boxes being installed along Maverick and on McKay. We also have there's an existing tree which is being preserved here, and the creation of a small bioretention rain garden area in this location here. That area will have some under drains and drain to existing infrastructure that is in McKay Place. We do have a large tree that is proposed to be preserved based on our discussions with city staff. The sidewalk on the back side has been pushed out to accommodate some severe heaving in that area, and that sidewalk will be constructed out of the resin-bound aggregate to hopefully maintain a walkable surface should those root structures heave much more. We do have work that is being completed along McKay Place as well. We have a large sidewalk that will be included in the pedestrian easement that provides access to the pocket park. We also have several locations that we have bike parking that enters out on the public street. All of the sidewalks 6.5 feet, as you can see here, along with a permeable paver strip in between. We do have new street trees that are being proposed along McKay, and we have a new one that is being proposed along Maverick, and the 2 existing will be maintained as well. We do have, as part of our project, a pedestrian easement plan that has been prepared to facilitate that. That allows for the widened sidewalks to be installed along Maverick and McKay Place. Be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
Commissioners, any questions, comments? With the, just to confirm something, the intent of the curb extension here into Maverick is that will eat into what is currently the parking lane, is that correct?
Yes, we take approximately 2 parking spaces that are in that area. So and it's one-way traffic along Maverick Street now. Based on the original approvals from the BPDA, that was an item that was requested to sort of have that bump out and a more enhanced bus drop-off. So we have had discussions with BTD that were facilitated through the BPDA as part of the process. So we did receive their input. So we do have sort of the front door landing areas, rear door clear areas, and making sure that we do have enough sort of stop distance before we get to our proposed crosswalk.
Got it. And is this a MBTA bus stop?
I am not sure whether it's an MBTA or whether it's the local.
I don't think it's an MBTA stop.
Okay, so do we have, so there's any clarity or thoughts on who's going to use this? Is there a shelter being installed, or is this just
Yes, there is. I mean, there is a bus stop there now, and it's just being enhanced with a new shelter.
Okay, but we're not sure who's using that bus stop or what service that is.
Correct. but we can
Okay.
definitely find that out.
Yeah, it would be helpful just to know kind of what the purpose of that is.
Okay.
In terms of, you know, who it's serving or what services are being operated out of there. But you're saying there is now a bus stop there. I'm looking at Google Street View right now, and as of September of 2022, it doesn't appear that there was a bus stop at that location. So
Okay.
it sounds like something may have been added subsequent, but would just like to understand sort of the dynamics of that.
We can definitely look into that for you.
It's up a block at Frankfurt, so if that's the stop that's moving, there's a 120 stop at Frankfurt, a block up, which is right after McKay.
Right, that's a MBTA stop.
Correct, yeah, so there's one at Cottage and there's one at Frankfurt, but right now we're putting a shelter in between two known bus stops, right, for a stop
Yeah.
that is unclear.
Right, so this may be a consolidation of those two bus stops at this location, and we'd just like to understand what is being intended for that, and then to the extent that it is a consolidation, I think just want to make sure that there's been, you know, that the MBTA is fully on board, and, you know, to just have the opportunity to talk through whether any community outreach is appropriate here, or notification is appropriate. We've had, in other contexts, even relatively minor bus stop relocations or consolidations of this sort are sometimes, you know, it generates a little bit of concern within the community. So just, you know, not to necessarily put this all on the project, but just want to make sure that all of the parties who are responsible for that, the T in particular, is sort of fully aware and is doing whatever outreach they need to do. So I think the first step is just understanding what we're building and for what purpose, and then we can figure out who needs to do what in terms of informing folks about a potential change. And
Yeah, we can definitely do that and find the history of that. I know that the proponent they've had several meetings with the Go Street Citizens group, which is in the area, as well as several abutter meetings and meetings with the school as well.
Yep.
So, but we will definitely get some clarity on sort of what's happening with that stop.
Yeah, appreciate that. Okay, and then I guess kind of semi-related to that is, can you just speak a little bit to the pickup drop-off plans and expectations for this building, where activities like loading are anticipated to happen, all of that?
So loading would most likely happen on McKay Place, outside of sort of this area, because we've got sort of an area that they can drop in there. We do have some parking spaces in front. There is a mailroom that is located in this space here. So they do have some areas along the front. There are some existing, which I'm not sure whether they've been restriped since the work on Maverick's been completed. But there is space along the front.
Okay, so is there a designated loading?
We don't have a
regulated loading?
we don't have a designated loading zone.
Got it, okay. So it's resident parking in the curb regulations along
Yeah.
there? Okay. So the expectation would then be, if there's any loading activity happening along this stretch of Maverick, that it would be either opportunistically using available curb space or occupying the travel/bike lane as is, you know, probably done, would be done today, or is there?
Correct. And if there's move-ins and stuff, they could be shifted to McKay
Okay.
because it's primarily, we've got one driveway for an abutting property here, and then it's the school. So during sort of off-peak, if there was drop-off of deliveries, that there'd be very little traffic that would be coming down McKay if the school's not in session.
Okay. Are you expected under your board approval to negotiate a TAPA for this project? Transportation access line?
I believe we are, and I believe that VHB, who is the project traffic engineer, is in the process of preparing that. I don't know whether that has been fully submitted yet.
Okay. Okay, I mean, that is ultimately, I think, the appropriate place for these kinds of questions and things to get sorted through. You know, a train of thought here was we're changing the curb, the physical structure of the curb area in front of the building. We're extending it out and narrowing Maverick Street in a way that would make it more difficult for there to be sort of opportunistic loading to happen right in front of the building at the corner with McKay. And so just wanting to make sure that, given that we're making it incrementally harder for activities like that to take place right in front of the building, that there's some thoughtful planning that goes into how those will take place to minimize disruption. You know, in particular, like not wanting to see that crosswalk, the new crosswalk over Maverick that we're building be visually obscured or in any way impacted, you know, blocked by loading activities. So, but I think that can be the detailed discussion of that can be pushed to the TAPA process, as long as there is a TAPA happening here. All right, commissioners, anyone else? PIC staff or members of the public?
I do just want to recognize Brian Ronan of ISD, who has signed on during this presentation. We did have one member of the public, David, ask a question in the chat, but I think he's all set. David, feel free to jump in now if you'd like to ask any other questions, but beyond that, I think we are all set.
All right, hearing nothing from David. Will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on December 19th?
Yes, we should be.
All right, excellent. We will see you back here then. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone.
All right, on to new business number 3, Hillsborough Street, Dorchester, abandonment on a joint petition by HSS Partners LLC, Diamond 89 LLC, and 9 to 11 Hillsborough Street Condominium Trust. The proponents please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through your proposed action.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission. I'm Brian Goldson with New Atlantic Development, and with me today is John Schmid, Vice President of Niche Engineering. We're here today to petition for the abandonment of an unimproved area at the end of Hillsborough Street in Dorchester. This petition is associated with the proposed redevelopment of number 2 Hillsborough Street, a 21-unit affordable home ownership project that includes 18 units designed as live-work studios for artists. This project has already received funding from the Mayor's Office of Housing and the required approvals from the BPDA and the ZBA. This project is an offshoot of the Humphrey Street Studios, an arts complex with 45 individual artist studios that was purchased with the support from the city at the end of 2022 and turned over to a nonprofit that is controlled by the artist with the sole purpose of preserving the studios and keeping them affordable in perpetuity. New Atlantic worked with the city and the artist to secure this property and form the nonprofit. The new homeownership project is being developed on a vacant lot behind the Humphrey Street Studios building. With that, I'll turn it over to John Schmid to walk you through the proposed abandonment.
Good morning, John Schmid, Niche Engineering. Please confirm you can see the screen.
We can.
Okay. So this is the area. This is Hillsborough, which is a private way that dead ends right here. It's south of East Cottage Street and east of the commuter rail. This is the proposed building that Brian alluded to. It's going to be 4 stories consisting of 21 units proposed. This is the parcel in question. This area highlighted in yellow is the discontinued area, and the area highlighted in red is the parcel. The discontinued area, go back. The discontinued area consists of approximately 3,000 square feet. It's about 76 feet in length, about 40 feet in width. And then the parcel itself is about 10,000 square feet. This is the plan that's before you. Essentially, Hillsborough is it's improved to up this point here where it serves a driveway to a development that was constructed several years ago. We are proposing a mid-block crosswalk at the end of the layout. This has been coordinated with Public Works and the Disabilities Commission to ensure that pedestrian path of travel is, pedestrians have a path of travel without being abandoned at this point here. The walk of the area, again, there is a sewer line, WC sewer line that comes through the site. We have a BWC forward easement, and have met with John Sullivan and with the board with this project. We also have the Eversource light pole here that will be maintained, and we're in the process of working with Eversource to ensure that their rights are continued having as the abandonment proceeds. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions? PIC staff or members of the public?
For this one, I'll just mention that we have been working with the project on finalizing their title opinion, and they're prepared to submit that to us by the end of next week. So we expect to have that ahead of the public hearing.
All right, excellent. And just to confirm, the petitioners, you are aligned on that timeline with the title opinion?
Yes, we are.
All right, excellent. Great, well, seeing no other questions or comments, we'd be ready for a public hearing on December 19th in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. Great.
All right, we will see you back here then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, on to our last agenda item, new business number 4, 361 Belgrade Avenue, Anawan Avenue, Belgrade Terrace, West Roxbury, abandonment, pedestrian easement, specific repairs on a set of joint petitions by Upton Belgrade Investment Partners LLC and Clay Consolidated LLC. Would the petitioners please introduce themselves, their affiliations, and walk us through your proposed actions?
Yes, my name is Jake Upton. I'm a partner with Upton Belgrade Investment Partners. We are the developer of 361 Belgrade, which is located on Belgrade Avenue at the corner of West Roxbury Parkway, close proximity to Center Street Rotary, also in proximity to the MBTA Bellevue Station commuter line. There are 3 bus lines that have bus stops within 2 blocks of the area. It is a former Clay Chevrolet car dealership and auto repair facility that we have been in permitting stages for about 8 years. And we've had a lot of participation with the PIC staff in the infrastructure discussions. We're moving forward with development. We have now received permits for 124 units of residential housing with 1 unit of commercial space. It is a 4- and 5-story building that's built into a sloped hill that has about a 14-foot gradient change from the top of the site near West Roxbury Parkway down to Anawan Avenue, which is on the other side along Bellevue. The commuter rail, MBTA commuter rail, is directly behind the project, and we've been working with the City of Boston to revise our development plans to take a current surface parking lot and putting it underground, and then creating green space to create a visual reconnection of the shoulder of the West Roxbury Parkway. Our plans have been done and coordinated with the DOT is doing a new intersection, adding bike lanes, and a new bridge reconstruction in close proximity to our project. So we have coordinated our design with them in a very detailed way over a number of years. And we've also worked with the MBTA and the various departments of the City of Boston on a new, improving the pedestrian way around our property and facilitating commuting, pedestrian commutes and vehicular commuting to the MBTA commuter rail station, which there is a surface crossing at the end of Anawan Street. we have added some crosswalks across Belgrade with a safety island that we're going to go through the detailing of that with you. So that's the general kind of overview of the project. We've had a long we've recently been updating with a lot of comments from different departments, and Rick Lantini of Howard Stein Hudson is going to kind of take it from here. So I'm here if any questions. Thank you for joining with us.
Thank you, Jake. I'm Rick Latini with Howard Stein Hudson. So I'm just going to run through the 3 petitions in front of you real quickly. As Jake mentioned, we're proposing a 5-story building with about 124 residential units. And there'll be parking. It'll actually be off of Belgrade Avenue, off of Anawan Street, which is off of this locus here. So the first petition in front of you is for to remove a private way and abandonment. So this private way is only about 15 feet wide. It only appears to service these lots. They've been consolidated. These used to be 2 separate lots, so it doesn't seem to serve any purpose. There's some small utilities in there that service these buildings are actually being demolished and cut and capped at the main as part of this project. As Jake mentioned, there's actually a drop off here to the MBTA. So this isn't like access to the MBTA or anything like that. I think it was for these lots, which have since been consolidated, but we're trying to officially abandon this, like I said, 15-foot private way that seems to serve no purpose. The second item is pedestrian easement, and this is on Anawan Way, and I'm just assuming my screen's up, by the way. So we're just adding about a little under 3 feet pedestrian easement, and this is allowing us to add a sidewalk here, a 6-foot sidewalk, while adding a furnishing zone, which doesn't exist today, which is better shown on the specific repair plan. So you can see here, this is the easement here, so we have the 6-foot wide pedestrian path and able to add a furnishing zone. We're also, on Belgrade Ave, pushing the curb out about 4.5 feet. And what this does, this gives us a cement concrete sidewalk that ranges from about 7 feet to about 9.5 feet wide and provides this furnishing zone. So in this furnishing zone, we'll have street trees, bike racks. We're installing new pendant lighting, also a bike share station here. So lastly, on the specific repairs, we were working with the planning department and Boston Transportation Department on, narrowing the pedestrian crosses here on Anawan and Belgrade intersection. So on the north side of the leg, this crosswalk between the pedestrian ramps there is about 66 feet, and as you can see, we're narrowing that down to 22 feet with these sidewalk extensions. On the south side, the distance between these 2 ramps is, I think, over 70 feet. So as you can see, we're minimizing that down to 40 feet. Lastly, Belgrade Ave, once again, the overall width is being decreased by the 4.5 feet I talked about earlier for the furnishing zone, and they asked us to add a pedestrian refuge in the middle here too. I think that's all I had for that. I would take questions. I think I saw Brian Bizel on here too from my company, who's with our transportation group. So if there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Yeah, I would just like to point out that the MBTA crossing is at the end of Anawan Avenue on the right-hand side. It is not off of the east, the private way that we're dissolving. There's actually quite a grade change. There's about a 12-foot grade change from the edge of our property line down to the track level. So it is not feasible for any kind of access to the MBTA station. And that's been thoroughly reviewed.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Commissioners, questions, comments?
I was wondering in the pedestrian refuge if you could add detectable warnings on either side, just to indicate that for blind and more different books.
Yeah, actually, we typically do that. I missed out on this one. Sorry about that. This is the last, as you know, I don't know if you saw this intersection, there was something different about a month ago, and it got changed to the last second by BTD. So yeah, we'll add that. Thank you for noticing that.
Just want to make sure that they're properly tracked, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, and also I will say this is subject to a TAPA agreement, so all the pavement marking and stuff will be through BTD, and I can copy you with that, Sarah, if you want it.
Commissioners, other questions, comments? raised hand will get you, David, in the start of the public comment section. Just if you could, for me, speak a little bit to the crosswalk condition on Anawan south of Belgrade. So this is obviously much improved from a pedestrian safety perspective to have that narrowed mouth and that kind of teed off corner. Just for context of my question, this little stub of Anawan between West Roxbury Parkway and Belgrade is a heavily used sort of cut through to avoid the intersection of Belgrade and West Roxbury Parkway and the signal there. And I've heard many concerns from people who live along this stretch, or who cross along this stretch, about the pedestrian experience, given that the intersection is skewed and allows for high-speed turns off of Anawan onto Belgrade. It's a kind of a harrowing little bit of roadway for anyone on foot. Obviously, this is going to improve the situation, but I'm sort of interested in why we still ended up with a 40-foot wide mouth here as opposed to like a raised crosswalk situation or something that could further calm traffic. So I'm hoping the project team could just kind of talk through the iterations on this and identify any obstacles that you encountered to a more aggressive approach to enhancing pedestrian safety on this crosswalk.
Yeah, I know on this one we couldn't do the raised crosswalk for a couple of things. There's some utility conflicts. We couldn't get the grading to work, and we also couldn't get it to work without closing this driveway down here. So I know that's why the raised crosswalk wasn't thought about. I can see if we can tighten this up some more. We've been talking with William Moose and John Monticelli from BTD, so we can ask that if they have. We'll entertain other ideas. We just didn't want to go too far down Anawan Street chasing stuff too, but I know the raised crosswalk didn't work.
I would like to add that we've looked at that extensively to do everything we can, and we've heard, the need for to slow pedestrian. We've vetted this a very detailed way, and this is what makes the engineering work for all the other components of the streetway with the utilities and everything else. We also have added streetlights on both ends of these sidewalks, which was not originally part of our scope. So unfortunately, we would like to have done it. It would have been a lot easier for us just to do the raised sidewalks, but the engineering does not. And what we have here has now been vetted with multiple agencies. So we've been trying to push the envelope as much as we can. We've been hearing that feedback for a number of years. So we're sort of doing what we can here, and there's really very difficult to come up with anything more to do on that regard.
Yeah, that's Brian Bizel from Howard Stein Hudson. I think making that radius on the east side is much smaller than the existing one will certainly slow people down. There's no pavement markings on here. We'll add a stop bar, obviously. So I think this is a big improvement for pedestrians. Just making it, the smaller radius and plus making it perpendicular to Belgrade will make the drivers have to come, instead of rolling through it the way they are now and making that soft right, they're going to have to be, more in line. So it should be a huge improvement for pedestrians. And like everyone else said, we've made it. We've bumped it out. We used to bump it out into Belgrade, but that didn't work for different reasons, and that got changed, like Rick said, within the last month. There's that driveway, and then on the west side, the more we make that radius narrow, then you start getting to points where the ramp doesn't have enough landing area, so we can't keep pulling that over more. So this is I think it's a great improvement. I don't want to say it's the best we can do and make it seem like it's a negative. I think it's a great improvement compared to what's out there, and weighing all the priorities, this is where we fell.
Yeah. I appreciate that additional detail, and very much agree with you, Brian. This is substantially better than where we were, and where we are today. So appreciate all the work that's gone into it, and a lot of back and forth. And my purpose in asking the question was to just have you illuminate on the record a little bit some of that work and the thinking, and I appreciate you doing that, and excited to see the significant pedestrian safety benefits that will come from this project. So appreciate that, all the back and forth that went into it.
When we get to pavement markings, we should consider taking up some of that space with markings, as we go around the new median island. The median island should have some vertical elements so that it is visible, right, signage, something out there. But I think that some of the dimensions that we couldn't do with curb, we can probably do with paint that will help at least visually to kind of tighten this up as we get up here.
Yeah, so what Amy's referring to is the median at 6 feet wide. We had a request to make it 8, but we ran auto turn, and because we are making all these radii so tight, which is great for pedestrians, it makes the truck maneuvers need a little bit extra space, right? So you can see there's 19 feet, which we wouldn't normally need, but we do need it for the maneuvers to work. So we can narrow that 19 with pavement markings so that the trucks can still, garbage trucks and move in and move out can still come and go, but, visually it'll be much tighter than the dimensions that are shown here.
Excellent. Appreciate you continuing to work on that in the traffic side of things. Those are all my questions. Commissioners, any other questions, comments? All right, seeing none, TIC staff or members of the public. I see David Ween has his hand up. Go right ahead, David.
Sure. Okay. Specific to the Anawan crossing, I'll echo that it looks like a huge improvement. And I think we talked about people leaving Anawan Avenue turning right onto Belgrade, but there's also the left turn from Belgrade onto Anawan, and both the narrowing, in addition to the narrowing of the intersection, slowing people down and making it a more of a 90-degree turn, the median, if it's properly, visible and marked and respected, not ridden over, also makes the left turn from Belgrade onto Anawan, because Anawan is a two-way street, makes that left turn also, you have to be more intentional while you're driving a vehicle there. So I think that's also a plus. The question that I raised my hand about was about the bike share station. I'm not good at reading these diagrams, but the question is that station on the street or off the street? Because currently there's a bike share station kind of around the corner there, and it's only seasonal because it's on the street. I'm not sure whose policy that is that takes away all the on-street stations every year at November, December, but I'd love to see that changed, but this one, will this be a permanent or will it be seasonal like the current one?
Yeah, so the dashed blue lines that you're seeing are where the granite curbs will be. So to just go back to your first point, the median isn't just going to be painted, it's going to be vertical granite curbs, so people won't be turning over it. And then, like we were just saying, we'll make it look even bigger with pavement markings around that. And then for the blue bikes, right, we're moving the blue bike station onto the sidewalk so that it will be year-round. And also, which is great here, which is a new option for blue bikes, is there's actually going to be a gap in the station for the catch basin there, which the new stations will be able to accommodate without having a conduit that connects the two of them like we have to have in some places now. So,
got it. And then
great.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine.
And the bikes will be basically backed up, they'll enter the station from the sidewalk, and the sidewalk there is 14 feet, including the station. So, but I don't think that particular location currently has a lot of business, though there are plenty of people that use it. But when we're adding, what's at 120 units, there's going to be some demand there, hopefully. But again, there's not a lot of pedestrian traffic there, and probably not a conflict with that width of sidewalk.
Right.
Good,
So
thank you.
One thing that I can add is that we, as part of the BPDA building approval process, we have 168 bicycle parking facility that is just around the corner from what's on the screen for the residents themselves. So we think that that's going to be, a robust and very convenient kind of add for the residents. While they still will have access, obviously, to the blue bikes, they'll have, robust storage for their own bikes.
Sure. Yeah, and I think it's worth pointing out that even people who own bikes and bike regularly often take advantage of the blue bikes. There are lots of situations where where I use the blue bike, even though I have plenty of bikes at home.
Yep.
Well, thanks. This all looks looks really good, in at least in the respects that I'm.
The 14 feet that we were showing there is the standard for it to have a station. And not only that, it's 14 feet to the property line. There's actually a foot or two more to the actual building face. So we actually exceed what would be needed, which is, great that we're not creating a pinch point on that.
I applaud that this is baked into the project rather than, thought about afterwards. Great.
Thanks, David. And just to address something you raised as well about the winter removal of on-street blue bike stations, just in my public works hat. So, historically, those have been done in order to ensure that we have clear access to the curb for snow management. Not an issue in smaller events, but for major storms where we do snow removal, being able to push snow up against the curb line and then pick it up and truck it away has been an important part of our snow operations. We have, over the last 2 years, started piloting leaving more stations on street over the winter. So we've been gradually increasing the number of on-street stations, really looking at the locations where it is not a concern about winter activities or, the street becoming narrowed as a result of snowbanks and then creating safety issues. So that is something that the city is trying to move towards, is not the wholesale removal of on-street stations, but ultimately projects like this that take an existing station and move them to a year-round, custom-designed, appropriate location are the best outcome from both a public works and a cyclist perspective. So we're also, take advantage of these kinds of opportunities to build out the permanently constructed environment to support blue bikes. So, but I hear your frustration, and it is something that we're working on within the streets cabinet.
That's good. You mentioned you've been piloting the leaving some of the on-street stations in place. Unfortunately, the last 2 winters we haven't had that much snow, so it may not be indicative. But thanks very much.
Yeah, thank you. All right. Any other public comment or PIC staff?
I will just mention, similar to the last project, this project is still finalizing their title opinion letter, but we expect to have that submitted in the next week, certainly before the public hearing. We appreciate the project team's cooperation. There have been a lot of iterations of this design, and they've been very responsive and very diligent in making sure that everybody's needs are met with this design. Excellent. Appreciate that, and having followed the trials and tribulations of this site over the many years, it is great to see it moving ahead for something more productive than its current condition. So appreciate everybody's persistence on that and working so closely with the city on finalizing the details of the public right-of-way here. So with that, will you be ready for your public hearing in 2 weeks on December 19th?
We will. All set.
All right, excellent. We will see you back here then. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And with that, we have reached the end of our agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.